This week's Torah portion, Ki Tissa, the Israelites viciously betray God by creating an idol, a graven image of a calf that they worship. Now God, understandably, is pretty upset by this, and God's reaction is, I'm going to wipe out all the people, destroy everybody, and you, Moses, are going to be the person who rebuilds this people. And Moses stands up to God. Moses challenges God in this plan of destroying the whole people. And we as Jews take pride in the fact that we come from a tradition in which it's acceptable to challenge God, in which we see our biblical heroes challenging God. And of course, Abraham is the first to do this in the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. But if we look at the two stories, the story of Abraham and Sodom and Gomorrah on the one hand, and here the story of Moses and the golden calf, we notice an important distinction. Abraham challenges God, would he perhaps save the cities if there were a certain number of righteous people? And we know the famous story where Abraham bargains down from 50 to 45 to 40 and finally down to 10 before relenting. But Moses does something that Abraham never even attempts. So Abraham, for all of his desire to save the righteous people and prevent the destruction of the cities, never challenges the basic notion that God could, would, and should destroy these cities for their wickedness. But Moses says something very different to God. Moses doesn't try to say, well, what if there were this amount of righteous people, or what if there were righteous people over there? Could we somehow work out a deal? No, Moses says simply to God, if that's your plan, fine, do your plan. But he says to God, Mecheni na mesifrecha, erase me from your book. You can do that if you want to do that, but don't think you're going to start a new nation with me. I don't want any part of it. Moses, rather than accepting the premise and then trying to work around the margins, Moses goes right to the heart of the matter. He says, I won't cooperate. I won't go along with a plan that involves the complete destruction of the children of Israel. And we find that God listens. Whereas Abraham, in a sense, failed, he couldn't save the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah because there were, in fact, not 10 righteous people. Moses succeeds simply by challenging the premise of God's plan to destroy the people. I think given the events of last week, it's important for us to consider the model of Moses. The irony of history is that it's precisely those people who said, erase me from the book, who said, go and do what you want, but I won't cooperate, I won't go along with your plan. People like Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., and the protesters in Egypt last week all said to authority figures that they felt were being unjust, were being immoral, I know that I can't stop you from doing what you're doing, but I don't have to go along with it anymore. And in that act of saying, erase me from the book, take me out of your story, don't come to me anymore, don't count on me to go with the flow, it's precisely those people who history remembers. And so my hope, my prayer for us this week is that we, as people who enjoy great freedom, will have the courage and the strength to always stand in solidarity with those anywhere in the world who seek justice, freedom, and equality for themselves. Shabbat Shalom.